My name is Heather Ahtone, and I'm the curator for Momentum 2009. As a curator, this has been a really welcome experience. I took a break and haven't had any projects sort of in the pipeline. For me, it was really valuable as far as one, getting the opportunity to see so many of the young artists that I can now, I'm taking notes of people and thinking about, oh man, I have an idea. They need to be invited to participate in, another show, or if I have an opportunity to visit with people, that this is a way for me to encourage others to appreciate the artists here. And a lot of these people, I don't know. I mean, there's a few that I know from teaching, but I don't really necessarily know their work even. And I have been emotionally moved by seeing what these students are doing when I know that they're taking classes and have jobs and, trying to put together their own personal lives, and to see the level of the work here is just amazing. I think every show has its own life, and this is no different. And what this show not only is for the artists and for OVAC, but what this show is for the state is just a reminder that this is a great place to be. This is a great place to live. We have every reason to be proud of who we are as Oklahomans, and I don't know if I could say enough about that. It's all very positive. The Spotlight Fellowships, to me, they're really necessary for people to stretch themselves, because making art in many ways is an investment, and an investment with potentially no return. And so artists have to balance the practicality of investing in materials and time and creative energy when they're making something. And so when you have the opportunity to have some funding support, it really allows you, if you're ready, if you're ripe for that kind of engagement of really taking you have an energy and a concept, and the only thing you're waiting for is that sort of imbuement of, the funding becomes a source of kinetic energy. Like, you have everything you need waiting, and you have the interest, and as soon as you have the money to do it, it's like there's an explosion that is really fabulous. And I think that that's happened with all three of the artists that we have for the Spotlights this year, and that each of them pushed themselves. They were challenged. There's been evolution from the initial concept to the actual final installation, and they've each elevated, I think, themselves artistically for having taken the risk and having put upon themselves the responsibility that they receive that fellowship, over other very good applicants, to have a competition of a broad scope. And there are the student shows at the universities, but that's a very limited community. And so to be able to bring this population into a statewide competition, a juried entry, and also the potential to engage the differences of how people are working in their materials and the kinds of images that are important to them, and the validity of their voice was really incredibly powerful. The show's a success right now, and nobody else has seen it that hasn't worked on it. The show is a success this moment. From here on out, it's like icing and sprinkles and whipped cream and cherries, and it's the artists have already had the joy of it, and now they can just enjoy it and absorb it and take all that in from the opening receptions, and that will become again sort of the fodder for the next artistic explosion, creative expression. I think the opportunity to work with another curator is really, it's almost always positive. I've heard bad things, but I've never had a bad experience. I think the opportunity for me to get to pick somebody to work with, and while I realize that there's this term of the senior curator or the established curator or whatever, I mean, every show I'm pulling it together, and it's just my ideas, and I'm very aware that this is, experience helps, with the technicalities, but in the end, you have to have some faith in your own vision. And I think that what Romy and I were able to do was that we very early on had a shared vision of what this show could be about. And while we have different tastes and different interests, and Romy, I think, has a much better pulse on who has already exhibited and what their work has been like, and when they've, they're taking perhaps a creative turn and doing something. I feel like this has been a partnership, and equally so, and I have valued her participation. And honestly, I don't think this show would have been as good if she hadn't been here with me. So I feel very strongly that this was a partnership. I think Momentum doesn't just serve the young people. Momentum is one of the reasons why Oklahoma City and Tulsa have the potential of being nationally competitive art scenes. And I think that it's because of this.